All right, folks. It is the NBC game of the week. However, this one is Memorex, not live, due to battery, what I assume are battery problems with my laptop. My laptop will no longer turn on. I've done all the YouTube hacks that saw videos on, and nothing's working. So I've narrowed it down. I'm pretty sure the battery is just worn out. At least that's my first guess. So I'm going to try that as a fix before I think about spending a whole bunch of money on another laptop. It's about a 4-year-old laptop, and it wasn't, it was an Acer. It's not, high end or anything, but it suited my purpose. And so did a test on Friday afternoon trying to go live on my phone, but it made everything look um, elongated. Didn't like it. So this is the next best thing to being here, like, the old commercial goes. So it is opening day. We are at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. I'm sorry, yeah, we are at Busch Stadium. I got the wrong card out here. We are at Busch Stadium in St. Louis for the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. I accidentally pulled the Phillies card out instead of the Cardinals Stadium card out. But we are, in fact, at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. A lot of foul territory, so a lot of foul outs will be happening at Busch Stadium. So if there are foul balls on the stadium card, it's a good chance it'll be an out because there's a lot of foul ground there. All right. We'll put that to the side and pull it in when and if we need it. Starting pitchers for today's game for the St. Louis Cardinals, Pete Vuckovich, and for the Philadelphia Phillies, Randy Lerch. And of course, the first step is to roll for the bullpen sessions for both pitchers. So we'll start with Vuckovich. And we get a 20. Boy, he's going to be in his C grades. He's not going to be happy about that. So we're at a C right there to remind me that he's on his C grades. We'll check Randy Lerch. He's an 18. He's on his C grade. So both pitchers are on their C grades. In the real game, Vuckovich pitched a complete game and Lerch went 8 innings. So don't know if that's going to happen today with them on their C grades, but I guess we'll find out. And leading things off for the Phillies will be Pete Rose. These are the as-played lineups. And fortunately, before, I had prepared this way ahead of time, so I do have all the bullpen and benches as they were in real world. I don't have access to that information anymore because I need my computer for that. But so fortunately, that's one positive, is at least I know who's supposed to be on the roster and who's not. So the phone's above my head, so I can't, I'm looking down here now just to make sure everything's okay. So we're just going to go with it and hope it turns out all right. Here's Pete Rose to lead it off. And I do have the, since I've got everything in a binder, I'm just going to keep this with me and read it off as it happens. If we do have a defensive check or a 54 check, I will show those on the charts because I got those pulled out separately. Right now, here's Pete Rose. 65, we're going right to the ballpark card. He's a -8. Vuckovich is a 1 to 15 on his C grades. -8 makes him a 1 to 7, and that's an 8. So barely Pete Rose misses out, barely, on a home run chance. Barely. And we'll see what the out's going to be. Whoops, because I already used the 8 to see if it's a home run or not. So we're going to roll another D20. And that's a 12. So with the bases empty and a 12, that is going to be a pop-up to the white die. The white die was a 5 on the original roll, so it is a pop-up to third baseman. Ken Reitz. So there's one away as Rose pops it up. And that brings up Larry Boa, the shortstop. 23, and Boa is going to be out. That's a 5, and that's going to be a ground ball. He's a lefty hitter as a switch hitter, so it's a ground ball to first, and the book says it's a 3-1 put out. So in this case, Keith Hernandez will get it and flip to Vuckovich. 2 down for McBride. 32 for McBride is blank. We go to Vuckovich. 32 is an out, and that's a 2, so that's a fly out to center field. And that'll end the inning. So 3 up, 3 down for Vuckovich despite being on his C grades. And we go to the bottom of the first. It'll be Gary Templeton, Tony Scott, and Keith Hernandez against lefty Randy Lerch. 63 is a blank. We go to C grades. That's an out. That's a 2. It's another fly out to center field. Templeton is out of there, 1 away, and here comes Tony Scott. 26, that's a left-right split. He is a switch hitter, so he automatically gets that hit. There's also a plus there, which means he's going to steal. If you look at Bob Boone, the catcher, see if he will affect the stolen base chance or not. What kind of arm does Bob Boone have? It says here he's got an average arm, so it's not going to take away anything from his stolen base chance. He stole 37 bases in 54 attempts. He's got a 14 there, so 1 to 14, and he will steal second base. And he does barely, around the number. Stolen base for Tony Scott. I know some people still do the jump thing, but for me, if they got the plus there, I'm going to go ahead and let him take off. All right, here is now runner at second. Got to flip to that chart. For Keith Hernandez. 46, we're at the ballpark card, so we bring in Busch Stadium. That's a 10, and that's going to be one of those foul outs, that foul territory, that huge foul territory. So he fouls it out to Schmidt at third base, right in front of the dugout, and there's 2 away. That'll bring up Ted Simmons. 15 for Simmons, that's an out, and that's a 15 there. Runner on second, a 15. With Simmons being a righty as a switch hitter, he grounds it to short. And that will end the inning. So nothing doing for either side here in the first, despite the pitchers being on the C grades. We go to the second. I guess one advantage of recording this is it'll allow me to pause if I need to pause for something. Right now, it's Greg Luzinski, Mike Schmidt, and Gary Maddox due up against Vuckovich. Back to the bases empty chart. 34 is a blank. Go to Vuckovich. That's a solid single off of Vuckovich for Greg Luzinski. Solid single. And that's going to bring up Mike Schmidt. That's a 15 for Schmidt. Strikeout on 1 to 3. Otherwise, that's an out. So we've already used the D20 to determine it wasn't a 1 to 3. I'll re-roll. And it's going to be an 8. That should be a fly out to center field. And it certainly is. Faster average runner can run with risk. If the white die was a 1, it was not a 1. So just a fly out. But Wheels Luzinski's not going anywhere. 1 away for Gary Maddox. 46, we're back to the ballpark a card again. And that's a 12. Probably another foul out. And you better believe it right there. Another foul out on the 12. It's a foul out to first baseman, Keith Hernandez. And there's going to be 2 away for Manny Trio. 15, that's an out. That's a 20. And that line out to the white die, and that is a 5. So he lines it to third. And that's the third out of the inning. So no worries about a double play chance or anything. Phillies are gone in the second. We go to the bottom of the second. Still no score. Due up for the Cardinals, it'll be George Hendrick, followed by Grieve and Reitz. Hendrick, a 55, doubles on a 1 to 16, but that's a 19, so he's going to single. He'll settle for a single. Will George Hendrick. So runner at first, and here's Tom Grieve. That is a 52, which means we're going to the KD error chart because the 14 is higher than the KD. So we're going to the error chart. 52. We get a 64. That's a potential error on the shortstop, Larry Boa. So we're looking at Boa under the Phillies defensive chart. Boa, his error rating is only a 1. So the only way he makes an error is if the D20 is a 1. The D20 is a 14, so he does not make the error. Let's see if there's a double play involved. So Over here, run on first. If D20 is odd, it's a double play ground ball. Even, it's a fielder's choice. Since it's even, it'll be a fielder's choice. So Boa goes to second for the force. Grieve is the new runner at first. One out for Ken Reitz, third baseman. 25, and that's going to be an out with a 3. And let's see here. He's a righty. Ground to third. White die 1. Runner advance. Well, the white die is not a 1. Fielder's choice. Let's see here. Strong arm starts a double play. So let's see, does Mike Schmidt have the strong arm? That's something to look into. At third base, he's got an average arm, so not a strong arm. So it will be a fielder's choice. 5-4. So 2 down. Ken Reitz, the new runner at first base. And here's Mike Tyson. 41, and that's going to be on Lerch's C grade, a base on balls. 2-out walk, puts runners at first and second, and now the pitcher Vuckovich will hit. A 152 hitter in real world. 34, and on his C grade, that's going to be a single. Single, so we go to runners at first and second on a single chart. Hit chart, I should say. And we get a 10. 10 says infield hit, runners hold at third. So just an infield hit for Vuckovich. And it's going to load the bases. So here's Gary Templeton, bases loaded, 2 outs. That's a 56, and that's going to be a strikeout for Randy Lerch to end the inning. So the Cardinals load them but can't bring them home. We played 2 complete from Busch Stadium. No score. Phillies and the Cardinals. Bob Boone will lead it off, followed by Lerch and Rose. 64, and that's going to be a blank there. 64 is an out. 18, fly ball to center field. 1 away. And that takes us to the pitcher, Randy Lerch, a 153 hitter with a home run and a triple in real world. So he had a little bit of pop there. And 11, that's going to be an out though. 15, base is empty with a left-handed batter. It's a ground ball to first, and take it to the bag himself will be Keith Hernandez, out number 2. Here's Pete Rose. He popped it up to Reitz his first time up. 31, that's a base hit, but I'm going to use the Replay Gamers homebrew of doing a range check. So we're going to do a range check to see if it's going to be a base hit or not. It's a 32. So we're checking the first baseman's range. It's a double down the line. I don't know if he being Replay Gamer, modifies that back to a single, since the original result was a single. So I think that's what we would do here, is make that a single to right, not bump him to a double. But it's a range play on the first baseman. That's, fortunately for the Cardinals, that's Keith Hernandez. You would think he'd have great range at first base. Keith Hernandez's range is a 20. Best you can have. You're not getting anything by Keith Hernandez. So Pete Rose trying to go the opposite way and sneak it by Hernandez, and that fails. So that will just simply be, actually we'll say he flips to Vuckovich covering because he had to range so far to get it. And that'll end the inning. Not getting anything by Keith Hernandez. Not in 1979 anyway. So we go to the bottom of the third, and it'll be Tony Scott leading things off. 31, same situation. We're right back in the same boat. A range check to see what's going on with that. We get an 11. That's again, we're going to modify this to a single. It's a range check on Luzinski, the left fielder. Luzinski, his range, let's get his card here. In left field, Luzinski's range is only a 3, but his D20 is a 2. So Luzinski races to catch that ball and takes the hit away from Tony Scott. Unbelievable. What wheels on that guy? Here's Hernandez. 33, that's a base hit for Keith Hernandez. Solid. 1 out single. Here's Ted Simmons. 62, And that's an out. That's an 11. So a runner on first and an 11. It's a ground out to the white die, which is a 2. So it's a ground out in front of the plate. Slow runner is out at second. Let's see. Keith Hernandez is a fast runner, so he's definitely not out at second. And if the batter has an S run rating, he's also out at first, double play. F or A batter is safe at first, fielder's choice. F or A runner advances to second, so he can advance to second since he's fast, Keith Hernandez. The only play will be on Ted Simmons. So the play is going to go 2-3 from Boone as they throw out Simmons at first base. 2 down, but going to second base is Keith Hernandez. So in scoring position for George Hendrick. 25, and that's an out. And out 2 is going to be a fly out center field, and that's going to end the inning. So they get a guy on in scoring position, but can't bring him home. After 3 complete, no score, despite these pitchers being on their B grade or C grades actually. But so far they're making it work. Here's Larry Boa. 24 for Boa. That's a hit by pitch on a 1, but that's not a 1. That's an 18. So we're going to re-roll it. See what the out is. It's a fly to left. 1 away. And here's Bake McBride. 54. We're going to the 54 chart for the first time with bases empty. That's a 13. So we come over here, 13. Single. Refer to D20 to see who fields it. 13 is a left fielder. So it's fielded by the left fielder. Now roll versus the E rating for an extra base. So we're going to roll against the left fielder for the Cardinals, and that in this game is Grieve. We're going to check his error rating. So Grieve with the error rating in left field. Grieve, his error rating is a 20, so he's going to make the error automatically. So it's a single plus an error for Bake McBride. Single plus the error on Grieve. Puts him at second base with 1 out for Greg Luzinski. 23, and that's going to be a strikeout. I believe that's the first one for Vuckovich. 2 down, it's up to Michael Jack Schmidt. 41 is going on Vuckovich, and Seagray's a walk. And that's the first walk by Vuckovich. Now it's Gary Maddox's turn. 51, we're going to the KD because that 19 is way above the KD rate. So we're going to an error chance on the 51 chart. And it's a 45, so we're checking the error chance of the second baseman in this case. And that is Mike Tyson. Let's check Tyson's error rating at second base. Tyson at second base, his error rating is a 7. That's a 1, so he does make the error. He will make an error, E4. And that will load the bases. Because it was a 1-base error based on that roll. It only had 1 star on it. Only had the 1 star. So bases are now loaded. 2 errors in the innings on the Cardinals. They're being really sloppy. And here is Manny Trio. But to be fair to Tyson, just about everybody would have made an error on a 1 like that. Here's Trio, bases loaded, 35. Vuckovich is going to give up a base hit, so we go to our bases loaded runner advancement, and that's a 7. All right, it's a single. Runner on second. The left fielder has an assist chance at home. So we're doing an assist roll for the left fielder, but that's not very good probably because the left fielder is Grieve. His assist chance is a 0, so there's no chance of an assist. So that will be a, let's see here. What happens when you have a 0 is the question. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to say that, let's see, McBride scores obviously from third. Scoring from second is Schmidt. I think Trio has to hold. I'm sorry, Maddox. I think Maddox has to hold on that. But it's a 2-run single from Manny Trio. Unearned runs thanks to these errors. Now here's Bob Boone. Oh, and one die didn't go through. What else can go technically wrong around here? 33, that's a single. We'll check the base running, first and second, based on that D20. Hit chart, number 17. It's hit to left field. Holds at third. If 2 out, assist chance at home. Well, there's no, he's got a 0 assist chance, so that's hogwash. So that will score the run. And the Phillies take a 3-0 lead. Here's pitcher Randy Lerch. 42, that's an out. It would have been a walk, but it's an out instead. And 11, first and second, and 11. Is a ground ball to the white die, which is a 2, so it's a ground ball right in front of the plate. Simmons will throw him out. But a profitable inning for the Phillies. They put 3 on the board and lead it 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Randy Lerch giving some good run support there and some shoddy fielding courtesy of the St. Louis Cardinals, and that's certainly not helping the cause. So here is Tom Grieve. 14, he is out. That's a fly ball to left field, 1 away. Ken Reitz is your batter. Third baseman. .34. That's going to be a base hit. Base hit for Reitz brings up Mike Tyson. 13, that's an out. That's a 12. 12 says it's a pop out to the white die. White die is a 3, so he pops it up to first. Right there for Pete Rose. 2 down, and here's Pete Vuckovich. 55 for Vuckovich. He gets himself a base hit. 20 on the D20, and that says it's an infield hit, so Reitz has to hold at second base. But 2 are on, 2 out for Gary Templeton. He's got a chance. 21, and that is an out. A 3. Runners at first and second with a 3. He is a switch hitter batting right-handed, so he's going to ground it to third, and that's going to end the inning with 2 outs. And somebody out there is drag racing, trying to impress with their motorcycle or whatever it is. All right, here is, but the windows are open because it's so beautiful. I got to have the windows open. I can't get by without the windows open, even though the pollen is driving me crazy. Still like the fresh air. All right, here's Pete Rose. 45 for Rose. And that's going to be an out, which is an 11. Base is empty, 11. And that's going to turn out to be a grounder to the white die, which is a 5. So he grounds it to Reitz at third. And Pete Rose is out of there. Here's Larry Boa. 53. So we're going to a range check because the 6 is higher than the 2 for the KD. So we get a range check. 23. It's a range check of the center fielder. Center fielder in this case is none other than Mr. George Hendrick. George Hendrick is the center fielder for this one. We look at Hendrick's range as a center fielder. His range is a 10. That's an 8. So Hendrick's going to run it down, make the catch for out number 2. Hendrick got on his horse that time. Here's Bate McBride. 55, and that's a double and a 1-3. That is a 3, so Bate McBride, a 2-out double. Takes it to the bull, Greg Luzinski. Phillies trying to add to their 3-0 lead. 66, I think they're going to do it. That's gone. 66, a homer is a 1-12, and that's a 2. The bull, Greg Luzinski, leaves no doubt cranks a 2-run homer, and the Phillies now lead it 5-0. Here's Schmidt, 15, strikeout 1-3. That's not going to be a strikeout. The out's going to be a fly to right, and that's going to end the inning. But 2 more runs come in, and Vuckovich may not be long for this game. He pitched a complete game real world, but that's almost certainly not going to happen here. Cardinals need to get on the horse and get some runs. Down 5-0. Here is Tony Scott. 63, and that's going to be an out. 13. Base is empty. Scott's a righty, so he grounds it to short. On away for Keith Hernandez. 16, that's an out, and that's a 16. That's going to be a grounder to short as well. Back-to-back ground balls to Boa. 2 quick outs, and here's Ted Simmons. 41, and that's going to be a base on balls. 2-out walk to Simmons. Keeps the inning going for George Hendrick, who made that nice catch in the previous inning. 36, and that's a base hit. 14, run on first base hit chart, and a 14 tells us it's to left field, and you advance to third if the left fielder has a weak arm. Let's look at Luzinski and see if he's got a weak arm. He just might. No, he's actually got an average arm. He's got an A1 here. There's an average arm, so that means that Simmons will have to hold at second base. But it's first and second, 2 outs for Tom Grieve. 65, that's actually going to be an out for Grieve. 65 will be an out. A normal batter would have hit a home run off a Lerch with a 1-15, but that's an out. And a 14 with an out. Runners at first and second out chart. And a 14, that's a grounder to second. That's going to end the inning. So the Cardinals leave them on again. And we go to the 6th. It's 5-0. Vuckovich bats third next inning, so they like to get him through this inning. Try to get 6 innings out of him, if at all possible. So here's Maddox. 52, but that's a 2. So that's going to be a strikeout. That's going to take away the error chance. His KD is a 1-2, so he pulls a strikeout out of that and avoids a potential error. Here's Manny Trio. 51. This time the KD is way too high. So we're going to an error chance. 44. That's an error chance on the second baseman, Tyson. That's a 1. Boy, Tyson twice has rolled a 1, and yet it's another error. You're just not going to make an error. I'm just not going to get out of an error unless your error rating is 0. It's the only way to do it when you roll a 1 like that. So just bad luck. Here's Bob Boone. 26, and that's going to be a lefty-righty split check, but it's a righty versus a righty, so that is an out, not a single. If he was a lefty pitcher, it would have been an out, a single, but it's not. So with a runner at first and an out of 14, grounder to second, fielder's choice, strong arm, second baseman starts a double play. Let's see if Tyson has a strong arm. I don't think he does. Now he's got an average arm, so it's not going to be a double play. It's going to be a 4-6 fielder's choice. Or out number 2, and that's going to send up Lerch to hit. 23, and that's a strikeout to end the inning. That's going to be it for Vuckovich. He's going to go 6 innings. And he's going to give up 5 runs, but not many of them are earned. Thanks to those errors. So the Cardinals will need a pinch hitter for Vuckovich after the first 2 have hit. They're going to start with Reitz and Tyson, then they'll look at the bench and see who they've got to hit as a pinch hitter. Looking at the Cardinal bench, a lot of their lefties are on the bench already because of Lerch a lefty. So you got Lou Brock, Ken Oberkfell, they're both lefties. Jane Norge is a lefty. Bernie Carbo is a lefty. Mike Phillips is a lefty. The only 2 they have that are righties are Roger Freed and Steve Swisher. So Roger Freed has picked up a bat, and he will hit for Vuckovich. Roger Freed. And Freed really does well against lefties. They gave him 2 singles, 25 and 26. So Obviously, Fried was proficient against the lefties. And Ken Reitz, and now Tabby's wanting my attention again. Here's Ken Reitz to start it off. 41, and that's going to be a base on balls. Walk by Lerch. And of course, with no computer to assist me, everything I'm going to do is stat-wise, I've got to accumulate manually. But what I'll probably do is when the game's over, I'll pause the video, do all the stats, and then come back and wrap it up. But that's the plan anyway, but you know how things happen with plans. Just like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So here's Tyson. 43, and that's going to be an out. That's a 19. Runner on first, 19 is a fly ball to right. One away. And now the pinch hitter, Roger Fried, a 258 hitter on the 79 season. 24, that's an out. 16, and that is a ground ball to short. The white die is a 1. The runner advances. It's not a 1. Strong arm shortstop starts the double play. Is Larry Bowa a strong-armed shortstop? Not according to this. He is rated as average. So it will be a 6-4 fielder's choice, not a double play. So Fried is the new runner at first base with 2 outs for Gary Templeton. 42, and that's going to be a base on balls again. I'm sorry, Gary Templeton makes an out on 42. My bad, I went right over here. Didn't see this one here. Strange they gave him 2 outs here like that. Maybe, I guess because he doesn't walk much. He only had 18 walks out of 672 at bats, so I think a way to take the walks away is to make these outs. So that's what's happening. There's an out there. And a runner on first and out 2 is just a fly to center, and that's going to end the inning. So another neat little idiosyncrasy of these Fall Classic cards to do something like that. So we go to the top of the 7th, and the Cardinals will need a new pitcher. And these are the guys they have available off, or out of the bullpen, I should say. You've got Silvio Martinez, Tom Bruno, Mark Littell's their closer, so he's not going to be used, and one left-hander, Buddy Schultz. So coming up for the Phillies, a couple of switches, then you got lefty and a bunch of righties. So they're going to go with Tom Bruno. Tom Bruno is going to be your pitcher for the Cardinals. Bruno was 2-3 in 27 games, a whip of 155. If you're interested in his ERA, which is on the team sheet, Bruno's ERA was 4.23. So 2-3 with 4.23 ERA and no saves for Tom Bruno. And he'll be facing the top of the order and Pete Rose to start off the top of the 7th with a 5-0 ball game. Bruno, let's get his bullpen session. He's C also. Boy, it's not getting good bullpen sessions. Here's Rose, 13 though. It's going to be a walk to Pete Rose. So Pete Rose with a leadoff walk. And here comes Mr. Bowa. 21, that's an out. That's a 9. That'll be a fly ball to right field. 1 out for Bate McBride. 46, ballpark card going to Busch Stadium. That's a 16, so that's a foul out. Once again, boy, that foul out reaches a long way. He's a lefty, so he's going to foul it out to Reitz at third for 2 away for Greg Luzinski. So I like how the ballpark is taking these hits away with the big foul territory. Very realistic. 22, that's a base on balls for Mr. Luzinski. Runners at first and second, 2 down for Michael Jack Schmidt. 31, and that's a base hit, but we're going to do a range play again. The old homebrew range play. So we go over here, 53 for the range play. Get a 16. It's a range check of the center fielder, George Hendrick. His range is a 10. This time he can't get it. That's a 16. So a failed range play. It's a single 1 star. All runners advance 1 base. So 1 base advancement. It's going to load the bases. You would think with 2 outs he would have scored, but it doesn't say that. Does not say it down here. It just says the 16 was a single to center with 1 asterisk, and 1 asterisk just says runners advance 1 base. It doesn't say anything about 2 outs or any of that stuff. You would think he would have scored, but maybe they just were lazy off second base and didn't get a jump. I don't know. Anyway, bases are loaded now for Gary Maddox. 46, we're at the ballpark card again. That's a 9. And a 9, we're in the foul out again. So that huge foul territory saves the day again. He fouls it to Hernandez. And the Phillies leave him loaded. So how about that? Phillies leave him loaded. We got the 7th inning stretch. Not going to pause. I'm just going to keep rolling on. Randy Lerch back out. Lerch has faced 28 batters. He can face 27, so he's really tired right now. But he went 8 innings real world. And he's pitching a shutout, so I'm certainly going to leave him in there. Here's Tony Scott. If we look at the Philly bullpen, I can tell you who they have available. They have Doug Bird, Raleigh Eastwick, and Ron Reed from the right side. And they have Tug McGraw and Jim Cott from the left side. Cott is a card that was not carded. Now, did not print him out yet. So we're not going to have Cott, but they do have 4 choices to make. Reed, Eastwick, and Bird. So Ron Reed is loosening the bullpen just in case. Just in case Lerch needs some help. Right now, here's Tony Scott to start the 7th. That's an 11, and that's a 15. That'll be a double for Tony Scott. Leadoff double for Scott. And that'll bring up Keith Hernandez. So I guess now technically Lerch is on his D grades. So we'll keep an eye on that. 63. And let's see what the D grades might change that. Let me go back and look at my D grade rule here in the book. D grades. It says here no more strikeouts in the 56 to 64 range. Well, it wasn't a strikeout, it was just an out. So as far as I can tell, the out is still good. Just the strikeouts aren't strikeouts anymore, but it will be an out. That's a fly to left, and let's make sure there's no runner advancement on that. The runner on second, and a 17. Fast runner advances if 1 out, but it's not 1 out. So, and Scott was fast, but there was not 1 out. So if there had been 1 out, he would have advanced. But now there's 1 out, but it's too late for that. Here's Simmons. 64, and that's going to be an out, and that's a 2, and that's a fly to center. White die 1 and fast, the runner advances, but again, the white die was not a 1. So there's 2 away, and it's up to George Hendrick. 21, and that's an out. A 9 to fly ball to right to end the inning. And that's going to do it for Lerch. They're going to cap Lerch at 7 innings, and they'll turn it over to the bullpen. Lerch is scheduled to bat 3rd next inning. So Lerch is going to go 7 shutout innings. And he's in good shape to get the victory. We'll check on the Philly bench. See who might be coming in to pinch hit. Bruno's still in there, obviously. He can face 9 batters, so he's definitely rested. He's only faced 6, so he's still got some time to face some more. And we go to the Philly bench. And these are the guys they have available. Lonnie Smith, Pete Makinen, and Jose Cardinal and Mike Anderson. All from the right side. From the left side, Dave Rader, Tim McCarver, Del Unser, and Greg Gross. So normally the pinch hitter deluxes are either Greg Gross or Del Unser. So we'll go with Greg Gross. He's got the better average. So Greg Gross will be coming in to pinch hit for Lerch in the top of the 8th. But first, we have Trio and Boone to get through. To face Tom Bruno. Here's Trio. 11, that's going to be an out, and that's a fly to center. 1 away. Here's Bob Boone. 25, that's an out, and that's also a fly to center. with that 2 there. You would think it'd be the catcher, but the 2s with bases empty are just flyouts to center field. So there's 2 away. Now the pinch hitter, Greg Gross, 333 average on the 79 season. 24, he is out, and that's a 1, so it's a grounder right back to Bruno. And so Bruno is effective. He goes 2 innings. It's going to cap him because he's scheduled. He's going to be batting 3rd next inning or 4th next inning. So most likely he will be pinch hit for. Plus he's faced his 9 batters. So 2 innings for Bruno with no runs. So the Phillies will bring in Ron Reed, and we'll need a bullpen session for Mr. Reed. Everybody so far has gotten a C roll. That's a B. He's finally on his average grade. So Ron Reed will be on his B grades. How about that, Ron Reed? Leading off for the Cardinals, rather, it's going to be Tom Grieve, but we're going to get a pinch hitter. Now that the righty is on the mound, they will go to Lou Brock to pinch hit. And he'll stay in the game to play left field. So Lou Brock is going to pinch hit here off of Ron Reed and his B grades. 64, and that's going to be an out, and that's an 8. It's a fly to center. So Brock is out of there. Brings up Ken Reitz, followed by Tyson. 14, he's out. That's a fly to left, 2 down for Tyson. 22, and that's an out. That's a fly to left to end the inning. So how about that? 3 up, 3 down for Ron Reed. Nothing going on in the 8th. We go to the 9th. The Cardinals will need a new pitcher. And actually the pitcher spot's going to lead off, but there's no need to double switch. They'll just pinch hit for him in the bottom of the 9th. So going to the bullpen again. Phillies will have the top of the order, so let's see who they want to go to. They're going to go to Buddy Schultz, a lefty. Buddy Schultz is coming on. And we'll get the bullpen session for Buddy Schultz. That's a 13, so he's on his B grades. So Schultz on the B grades. He'll be facing Rose, Boa, and McBride. 5-0 Phillies, top of the 9th. 25, and that's going to be an out. That's a fly to left. 1 away for Larry Boa. 23, that's an out. That's a fly to right, 2 down. Jake McBride. 62, and that's going to be a strikeout for Buddy Schultz. So 1, 2, 3 inning for Buddy Schultz. He is done. He gives up nothing, strikes out 1. And we go to the bottom of the 9th. Last chance for the Cardinals. We'll need a pinch hitter for Schultz as he faces Ron Reed. No save situation for Reed. The lead was too big for that. So they can either go to Bernie Carbo, Dane Orge. There's all sorts of guys they can go to. Dane Orge is more the prototypical pinch hitter, so they're going to go to Dane Orge off the bench to hit for Buddy Schultz. Dane Orge, pinch hitter against Ron Reed. 14, he's out. That's a fly to center. 1 down, back to the top of the order for Gary Templeton. Cardinals in danger of being shut out in this one. Cardinals won this game real world. Complete game victory for Vuckovich, but not in the dice today. 26 for Templeton as a switch hitter. He gets that hit automatically. Base hit. And that brings up Tony Scott. 65, that's a home run chance, but he's a -5. Reed is a 1 to an 11, so that makes it a 6. And that's a 7. So he just missed the home run. That's the kind of day it's been for the Cardinals. Look at it again on his B grades. On his B grades, Reed is a 1 to an 11, but the -5 from Scott drops him to a 1 to 6, and that's a 7. So Tony Scott fails on the home run, and instead he will ground it to third. Oh, I didn't check the runner on first there, did I? That's a 5. So let me go to the runner on first out chart with the 5. And he is a Switch hitter batting left. White die 1, runner advances. I don't remember what the white die was. It was a 2 because it was a 20. No, I'm sorry, it was a 65. So the white die was a 6 because it was a 65. I'm sorry, it was a 5 because it was a 65. So the white die being a 5, that takes that away. Strong or average arm first baseman starts the double play. It's a ground ball to first. So the first baseman, Rose, I don't think he's a strong-armed first baseman. He might be an average arm, though. If he's an average arm, he still starts it. And he is. No, he's a weak-armed first baseman. I take it back. He's a weak-armed first baseman, so they won't turn the double play. Instead, it's going to be a 3 to 6 fielder's choice. And they're going to give Keith Hernandez the final at bat, it appears. 32 for Keith Hernandez, and that's going to be an out. 19 flies to right, and there's your ball game. Phillies shut out the Cardinals 5-0 here on opening day on the NBC game of the week. Unfortunately, it was not done live because of technical issues, but in order to get something out there, felt like I had to do something, so this is what you get. Hopefully by next Saturday, everything will be back to normal, but who knows around here? Hard to say. Winning pitcher is Randy Lerch. He's going to go 7 innings. Let's see what he did as far as hits and all that stuff is going on here. Let's look at Lerch's numbers here. 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got him for 8 hits. So 8 hits for Lerch, but he scattered them. Walks 1, 2, 3. Got him walking 3. And I don't know if he struck out anybody. He struck out 1. Struck out Templeton. That was it. Reed went 2 innings and gave up 1 hit, nothing else. No walks, no strikeouts. And Lerch is your winner. Loser is Vuckovich. In 6 innings for Vuckovich, he gave up 1. Let's go down here a little bit. For Vuckovich, he gave up, let's see, so we got 0, 9, and I think he had 2 errors. Or no, 3 errors on the Cardinals. I take it back. Phillies 5 runs, and now we're going to figure out the hits. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got him for 6 hits against Vuckovich. And let's see, against Bruno, 7th and 8th inning, they got another hit. So a total of 7 hits for the Phillies. But they made theirs count. And the errors certainly helped the cause as well. Bruno, 2 walks and no strikeouts for Bruno. For Vuckovich, 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. I've got him for 3 strikeouts. 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. Now, how many runs were earned is the question. That error there is irrelevant, but this error is important because there were 2 outs. So actually all 3 of these runs, the inning would have been over here. So all 3 of these runs are unearned. So he's going to give up 5 runs, but only 2 were earned. So all 3 of these runs are unearned thanks to the Tyson error that should have ended the inning. So there you go. Final score. Philadelphia 5, St. Louis nothing on the NBC game of the week. Coming in just under 50 minutes. Hopefully it's going to load up okay, and sometimes it takes a long time for a video to upload to YouTube, but I'm going to try to get it going right now. I'm recording this Friday afternoon, so hopefully by Saturday at noon it'll be ready to go. We can hope. Till next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play. Oh, let's get a player of the game. Should I give it to Randy Lerch? He pitched 7 innings and scattered 8 hits, but the guy I'm going to give it to is this guy. The Bull, Greg Luzinski. He was 2 for 3, single homer and a walk, and he also had a nice running catch. So the Bull, Luzinski, took it from a 3-0 game to a 5-0 game and kind of took the starch out of the Cardinals at that point. So my player of the game is Greg Luzinski. So here we are from Busch Stadium. Final again, 5-0. And as we look on to next Saturday, which I hope will be live, but we never know. Never can tell. We will be in Milwaukee. It'll be the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. That'll be next Saturday on the NBC Game of the Week. Till next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.